Thank y'all for tuning in to Positioning Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Nah, and I'm here with one of my favorite people, Cristela Rodriguez.
Thank you. That's so sweet. You're one of my favorite people, too.
Come on. Thank you for being, or saying yes to being on the podcast. Wanted to jump right in and ask, where are you from, and what was it like growing up?
This is so funny because it's like, I feel like all my answers, I don't remember the last time we talked.
Now
it's like, oh, we're here again.
Uh-huh.
My name's Cristela. I grew up in Fresno, California, in the middle of California, literally smack in the middle. I grew up in a very small farm town. Small, like very, very small. My my middle school graduation, there was like 20 of us. My high school graduations, maybe around like 200, like tiny little town. I got my high school diploma and I got the fuck out of there. I went to college in the Bay, and I stayed in Oakland for quite some time. So I absolutely owe a lot of my career path to the city of Oakland. Still my favorite city in the United States. And so I'd like to say, like, I grew up between both.
Okay.
Yeah.
What motivated you to move to Chicago?
So I moved to Chicago after college, right after graduating, and Pivot Gang motivated me. It was at a time where I had just graduated. I knew I was already working with Saba. I knew I wanted to work in music, but I didn't have a job outside of management. So I lived here for about 2 years, and it was such a fun time, and I'm so glad that I got to experience that. It was definitely them that motivated me. I wanted to immerse myself in their world and get an understanding of the city if I was going to be really working with them. So it was great. No regrets. I miss living here a lot.
No, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I don't know why I thought you were like studied at Columbia or something.
No.
You just like kind of met, or like, because I feel like that is like every other person's story.
Yeah.
But the fact that Chicago you were encouraged to come to Chicago because you were already working with a Chicago artist. So can you talk about, like, how did you meet?
I met Saba in Oakland, actually. Okay. Yeah. So how did I get put on? It was one of my homies out in the Bay. He was a really big fan, and he was like posting a lot about Saba, and I think that's how I came across Comfort Zone, actually.
Okay.
And I was such a big fan. Like, I thought it was such an incredible project. I thought he was incredible. I remember the Burnout video with Aaron was out at the time, and I would make all my roommates watch it. So before anything, I was a really, really big fan. And this was like right before he went on the Mick Jenkins, Kirk Knight, Saba No Name tour. And they had a show at a venue that I don't think exists anymore, but it was called Leo's in Oakland. And so I went to that, and I was like determined to meet him because I was already kind of trying to garnish a relationship with his manager at the time, John Cuevas, just via email, like trying to intern, trying to do anything.
Like, let me know what
y'all need.
And
but I had never spoken to Sab, so I introduced myself at that show, and I remember so vividly, like, he was really sick. He had some sort of cold or flu, and so it was very short, not very interactive, and like that was it. But then we met again later down the line because I had been emailing with John a little bit, and I was working at a music venue out in the Bay at the time, and I was just trying to get him onto some shows. So when he came back out to do those shows, we properly met. I helped with the bookings that he had, and then we very randomly took a road trip to LA.
All
the
in
day
the
after
same
meeting. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Me, him, and Squeak.
It was meant.
It was meant. It was literally me, him, and Squeak. And I remember having the thought, like, okay, I'm about to drive 5 hours with two strangers. This is either going to go really bad or really, really good. And it was a really quick trip to LA. I think we were here for a day, and we drove back, and it was great. We have been locked in since. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Squeak.
Yeah.
You said something that's like really important, and I say it a lot, but like you said, like you were a fan. Can you talk about like the importance of being a fan of an artist that you manage, and do you think that that's like a secret sauce or a requirement, or like what are your thoughts on that of like consuming, being a fan of an artist, and then working for them.
Yeah, I think as a manager, being a fan makes your job so much easier. I think that it's a very demanding job, and I cannot imagine working with somebody specifically for like monetary or business gain without really loving the music or loving the art, simply because of like the drive and the motivation that you have to show up, you know? I guess if you're money driven, like, yeah, it's gonna be easy to show up for a check, but I don't know. It was clear as day. I thought he was the greatest of that time. I still do, you know? I think he's a phenomenal, is that right? Wow, I haven't said that word in a minute. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. He's an incredible talent. I still think that to this day. And that's a really big part of why my job is doable.
Yeah, and you don't just manage him, you also manage the gang, right? Pivot gang. You don't.
I don't. Okay. I do. I always will.
Okay. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, for sure. So
what is that like in terms of transition? Because I feel like at some point you were.
Yes. Last year.
Yeah.
So I, at the beginning of last year, was approached with a really awesome opportunity to work with a separate team. So we had to just throw a new variable in.
Yeah.
We have in the past worked with an amazing manager, creative, booker. He does it all. His name is Coach Nick.
Coach Nick.
We all love Coach Nick. Yeah, shout out to Coach Nick. So Coach Nick is currently the manager, the HBIC for Pivot Gang.
That's super cool. I feel like because the first connection with him is I think he was like helping Mello out with like some music sync stuff and like so a nice segue.
He's doing amazing. They needed it. I think we just needed to like garner new energy. They know what to expect from me. I know what to expect for them, and I think it's really exciting to just throw a new variable in. Coach's relationship with them is very different than mine. And I think it's in a positive way where they can just like lock in and get work done.
Yeah.
So it's been great. I think everyone is super happy. And like I said, I'm still involved. I'll always be involved. I'm still in the group chat. Like I'm there when I need to be.
Exactly.
But it's been cool, and it was a huge leap. It was a really big deal for me, you know, to like just not be as involved as I have in the past. But I knew that it's what they needed and what I needed too.
So, well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so what does that look like in terms of transition? So I know like you're like Saba's an independent artist, right? And so you are managing everything and making it happen. So what does that look like now that you're no longer doing it for the group, and like how are you supporting?
Yeah. With Sab in particular, or
with the group?
With the group.
Yeah.
Transitionally it was very easy. I'm for the most part pretty organized. So, you know, it was like, here's this folder of contracts. Here's where this album is. We closed this deal here. Here's what's expected for the next year. That was very easy. And like I said, Coach and I have been friends for a very long time, over 10 years. So we also know how to just talk to each other, be transparent, and get things done. And I think the same for the guys, you know, like that part, I guess, was a little more interesting because they're so used to hitting up one person for things. And I think even Sab, like as our team is building out, we've been working together for almost 10 years. It's very easy for him to just text me like, hey, this, and this, but like, oh, it's social media related. Like Ro needs to be brought into this. So like as more people are getting involved, I think the biggest transitions are just communication, communication goals, making sure everybody has the information that they need, because we've been insulated for so long to just being such a small, tiny team. And we still are, but now there's like 3 or 4 more people. So it's like, okay, how do we put these habits into place so that there's a group chat, or there's a text with both of us, or we have weekly calls 3 times a week, like things like that is, I think, it took a minute, but that was the hard part of the transition, I think.
Yeah.
And we're still figuring it out.
Did you always know you were going to be an artist manager? Did you always want to be an artist manager? What other...
Once I got to college, I knew. But before college, like I said, very small farm town. You don't know that these jobs exist. Like, I had no idea that my entire life could involve music and I didn't have to be an artist. But I have loved music since I was a little girl. The intricacies of the business, not just music, like sonically, but also like campaigns, and I used to be obsessed with award shows. Every single music award show there was, like, I would beg my parents to stay up late so I could watch the whole thing. Just remembering, like, all of these moments, marketing ploys that you don't realize what they are when you're a kid, but now looking back, you know, this is definitely what I feel like I was meant to do. And once I got to college and knew it was possible because of internships, I was like, oh yeah, I don't give a fuck about anything else. Like, I'm doing this, and that's what it's gonna be. And I've just got very lucky that, you know, one of the first artists that I work with is what my career path became.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel very, very grateful every day.
Super cool. Working as a woman in the industry, what have been like some of your biggest challenges? Because it is a thing where it's like people know Sab, and then it's like, this Cristela, this my manager. There's always there can be, but like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my answer was going to be just being a woman. Being a woman is what's hard.
And a Latina woman.
Yeah. Well, that part I think is like, you just have to do extra work, you know? I'm very grateful, and I work very hard, and I do my job, and I do my homework. But at the end of the day, I am taking up space. And I recognize that, and it's my job to recognize that. And, you know, you are aware of it, and you try to give back in areas that you can and put people on and things like that. But outside of that, like just being a woman, and not specifically like a Latina woman, reading a room, you know, I think it's just like not like just being alert, you know, being able to remove yourself from a situation when you realize it's taking a different turn that isn't professional, that isn't business oriented, and remaining professional, which I don't think everybody has to do. If you simply decide not to take a professional route because you're uncomfortable, that's how you decide to do it. You know, I don't knock that at all. It's just, I don't know, for me, it's just mostly like a protecting my peace thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen. There are a lot of good men in this industry, and there are a lot of not good men in this industry, and the same with women. So yeah, it's just kind of reading a room, having your reflexes intact, your emotional reflexes, but all is well.
Yes.
It's still.
And you're doing great.
Yeah, you know, we're doing our best.
Come on.
We're doing our best.
Exactly.
Setting a good work environment, I think, is really important too for everyone that works with us. Like, I think that's something that, as a woman, especially bringing up more women to our team when we're able to, it's like, okay, how are you? This is a healthy environment. Do you feel empowered? Do you feel healthy? Is there anything you're uncomfortable about? Let's talk about it. Full transparency, like just really trying to have people's back, you know? So yeah, just balancing all of those things, I guess.
Yeah. How do you manage like your, I guess, self-care and just personal passions being in the support of people and an artist that's growing every day?
This has definitely been the focus over the last couple of years, and some of the things I really like to do are like 7 p.m. hard cut off, unless it's like absolutely dire.
Ooh,
you know, unless it like has to be done in the morning. Like, it's not that serious. We can get to it in the morning.
Next day,
so I'm on D&D at 7, and sometimes you can get through, and sometimes you can't. But everything is fine and nothing falls apart.
Yeah.
Which is like what you have to remind yourself. I recently joined a women's volleyball league, which has been incredible. We play 3 times a week, and those are really good, like, boundary enforcing tools. Like, oh, I actually can't stay. I have to go play volleyball. And people look at you crazy sometimes, but it's like, no, this is what I do for myself.
Yeah.
I worked all day, and it's 7:30, and I can leave, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And just weekends, like I really enjoy my weekends too. Obviously, there's a lot of travel, but if I get to be home, like I am at home. And I go to therapy a lot.
Yes, therapy.
Yeah, so those are the self-care practices right now, but they're very important, and I really advocate for them for everybody. Because stress kills, and overworking kills, and life is very short as it is, and there's all these other factors into play that, you know, don't really give us a lot of longevity. So just make it count while you're here and make it count for yourself. And that's not always work. So.
Yeah, facts. How has it been for you being back in LA now, but then having to come to Chicago? And like, what does that look like in terms of like you have an artist who's tied to a city, but then based in LA? Like, what does that look like? And does it help with the flow of work, or does it make it difficult in any ways? Or?
It kind of does make it difficult. We love coming back. Anytime that, you know, we all come back, or just Saba comes back, or I mean, I'm very rarely am here without him being here. But it makes it difficult because for me, at least, I don't want to speak for him, but you lose your routine in LA. You know, it's still travel. It's still a travel day. And as familiar as we are with the city and as exciting as it is to come home, like, my routine in LA is gone. And so now I'm like, for example, this trip, like, we got here Tuesday. We're rehearsing up until Saturday. We have a show Saturday. We leave Sunday. We start mixing on Monday, like bright and early. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm leaving stupid early on Sunday so I can rest all day Sunday. He's not leaving till like 4, and to each their own. But I'm like, we have a small window of rest, and then we have a long ass 2 weeks ahead of us. And so that part is difficult because, you know, I can be at home and I can be in LA and I could be so much more productive and I can be in my routine and as well as him. But you have to take really big chunks of time sometimes and come to Chicago and get work done and then go back and then come here. So it's a little difficult sometimes, but any time that we're here, it is such a boost of inspiration and motivation and reassurance more than anything. I think it's something we've both really gotten from our trips back. You just feel so reassured, like, okay, people know what we're doing, people feel it, it matters. And so those, like, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. A little biased because you're from California,
yes.
But I think there is this wave of folks that, you know, are either in Chicago working and then they feel like, oh, I got to get to LA or get to New York in order to, like, get to the next level.
Yeah.
Being a person who's lived in Chicago, who loves Chicago.
Yes, I do.
Do you think that artists can live here and make it here, or do you think at some point going to either coast is necessary in entertainment, or like, what are your thoughts around that? Because we have people that leave, go, live in LA for a little while, come back. We have people that kind of become like bi-coastal.
Yeah, it's possible to stay here.
Okay.
Fully. You need to garner community.
Okay. Like
community that stays with you. Even if your community happens to leave and happens to go to LA or New York, like, you really just need community, and everything is possible from here. Like, of course, you'll have to take your trips. You'll have to go spend time in LA. You'll have to do your meetings, your sessions, even maybe shoot days. But no, I really do fully believe that you can do it all from here. We didn't choose that path, and there's no regrets or anything.
Yeah. It
works for us right now, but yeah, in hindsight, I think for the guys, the plan is to always, like, come back. So yeah.
Knowing when to seek help and knowing when you need a manager, I think that's a big topic. I think a lot of times people are looking for the person. You found, you know, your person, right? You're on his heels. What is, I guess, your advice to an artist who's at that point of like, I need a manager, what should I be looking for? Is it a combination of me asking or just waiting to be found? Like, what is that? And especially if you're doing it independently.
Yeah, that is a really good question, because I think this part has a lot of misconceptions. I feel like, and I get it, right? Because you look at examples of really powerful, awesome artists and managers. Like, we have them. We have, for me, it's a very specific lane, but I look at somebody like Lambo and Freddie Gibbs. I look at somebody like, I can't think of another example, but like lifers is what I like to call them. Like, their career started with this person, Archie Davis and Dom Kennedy. Their career started with this person. The managers may have gone out and done different things, but they never like, you know, real day one, like, solid foundation. They're very rare. I feel very lucky.
Yeah.
I recognize now that at this point in my career, I'm one of those examples. And it's something that For me, I perceive my career being this. My career being Cristela. She had side quests. She did a bunch of really cool shit, but she was always Saba's manager. Saba was always with Cristela. But it's hard, you know, you don't always get that. And it's okay, because other types of artist-manager relationships work as well, whether you're at a management company, a really big company, whether you have a manager that has 10 other clients. Like, it's all possible, and there's not one specific lane that is going to work for everybody. And I think that one thing that I really wish younger artists understood, as difficult as I know that it is a manager shouldn't even be in your first, like, 5 goals. You should be doing everything else. And it is also incredibly empowering to have to do the work without a manager, so that you know how to do the work. You aren't finessed later on in life. And if anything does happen, you know how to take care of yourself, how to register your catalog, how to do your splits, how to upload your own songs. Like, all of that is way more valuable than it is to, like, immediately find a manager off the bat. Have your brand, know what your brand is, know how you want to be perceived, know what your look is going to be for the project, know how many music videos you want to shoot. And, like, that can all of that information can come from a bunch of different conversations with a bunch of different people, not just managers. So I would just say that, like, all of those things are so much more important than immediately finding, like, a business partner to go on the journey with. That will come, hopefully, but it's possible you just figure it out. Like, and to answer one of the specific questions you had, I think you should be doing both. You should be reaching out to people and also just trying to, like, manifest and garner that somebody reaches out to you. But by no means should you kind of just be waiting, sitting, looking around. Like, no, do the work, go up to people, send cold emails, you know, get creative. It's possible that way.
And what are the, like, a follow-up question to that? Because I like, defining what a manager is. And I think sometimes people define it in a way of, like, oh, I get this manager, they have this access to this, and then I'm going to get this. How would you define the manager? Like, what is a manager in a simple form? To kind of, it's not simple at all. But to explain it to someone so that they have a reference of, like, what to really be looking for based off what could be in your head. Because I think a lot of times it is, this manager is going to put me on. Or this manager has a connection to something where I maybe can skip the work and then I can fast track. Or you just want a person to do all the things that you maybe don't want to do or you think you're not good at, you know?
Yeah, manager is so many different things, but I guess to try to put it in the simplest form, and I'm thinking about, like, how I speak to, like, my relatives that have no idea what I do. Like, so I manage an artist named Saba, and that entails organizing his creative life, planning 2-3 years ahead of his creative life, mind reading, taking care of finances, taking care of the business, you know, the traditional money business, garnering relationships and garnering partnerships. And I think one thing that I recently heard maybe that I really, really enjoyed is maintaining relationships for your artist when your artist is unable to do so themselves because they're in a creative role, they're recording an album, they're doing this, they're doing that. So that's what a manager is to me. But it looks different for everybody. Everybody has their own role and their own, you know, to-do list. Yeah, that's just what mine looks like on most days.
Yeah, it's great. Who is your team? Like, how many people are working to make it happen?
Okay.
And what does that delegation look like? Yeah, I'm in all your business. Yeah.
Okay, so right now we are currently in cycle for Saba's album with No ID, who I'm currently co-managing with. So it is very, very cool and amazing to get to learn.
Hold on, say that again. You're just gonna sneak that. What did you just say?
I'm co-managing Saba with No ID right now.
Yep.
So yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible.
That's dope.
Yeah, I love Dion. He's wonderful. He is somebody who has been in this business with various different hats for a long time. He understands things that we haven't yet experienced. And it's the best part of it really is that I get to garner a mentorship with him on a business level. Saba gets to do that, but Saba also gets to do that on a producer creative level, you know? Dion wears both of these hats. So it's been amazing. It's been great. And within Dion, we have Drew, who is Dion's assistant, but she's also this amazing creative mastermind. And if anything doesn't get cut from this, I hope it's this part because I love my team so much. Drew is incredible. She assists with marketing. She assists with creative. She is so incredibly bright and talented. And then we also, on Dion's side, we also have Cam Young Henry, who is also such an amazing creative. Like, Dion just has a really good way of bringing in people that do so many different things. And Cam helps us on the A&R side. He's in studio sessions with them. He, I believe, also produces. So, you know, him and Saba get to just have that relationship amongst themselves. Dion also has Chelsea and Damo on his team, who I look to as women that I admire, just because they're like really about their business. Like, it's black and white, and it's clear, and you know exactly what they expect when we're in campaign or we're doing something. And, you know, I want to work hard and like deliver for their expectations. So it's been incredible. These are all new people within our world, right? And it's been amazing. At this point, we're maybe 2 years in, a little bit more probably. And then on the Saba side, I have Ro, who I thank God for every day. Every day. Like, it's to the point to where my mom is probably like thanking God and praying for Ro. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Shout out Ro.
Oh my God. And she does it all. Like, I'm not even kidding. She is tour managing. She is styling. She is head of creative. She is overseeing all of the socials. She's giving me a social media calendar. She's getting all of our assets organized. She's making sure everybody has them. She's getting captions from Saba. She's what would I do without her? I don't know. Yeah, I love Ro. And yeah, I think we work with Sony Orchard on this campaign, which has been great. There's a lot of women there too. That's one thing that I love, is there's so many women. And everyone is just extremely passionate. Everyone is really excited about Saba. I feel that excitement from everybody. So it's been cool. That's what the team looks like right now. You know, it's growing.
Nice. Shout out to the team.
Yeah.
And mostly based like on the West Coast?
Yeah. Dion's camp, me and Saba, we are in LA.
Okay.
Ro is actually in Detroit. And
okay,
you know,
Midwest.
Yeah, we get to fly her into town to get a bunch of work done at least once a month, and it's always the best. I'm gonna feel really bad if I forgot anyone, but
I mean, you already mentioned Coach.
Yeah, we love Coach.
Yeah,
we love Coach. But yeah, that's how it's looking right now. Oh, Andrew is a new variable too. He's been filming all of our content. And he's incredible. He's extremely talented. He's from the DMV. He just moved to LA, and it's been wonderful. Just, I feel him getting more comfortable with us, which I really appreciate, because he's pitching ideas. He's bringing things to the table. And that's, more than anything, like, that's what I like to try to garner, like a real collaborative team effort.
Yeah. Exposure versus like getting paid for it. How are y'all balancing that? I think y'all are very like centered on community and like giving back, but at this point things have to make sense. So like, yeah, can you talk about like how does that shape up for y'all, and like how you're choosing to do something or making a decision based off the check look good, or this is gonna kind of put us in a position, or like, are there still, I think, decisions that you're making that kind of go back and forth between like, is this what I'm worth, or is this something that's also, and the reason why I asked is because like I saw that y'all, this was like 2 years ago, but like y'all did Wildin' Out, right? Like as a team, and it's like, it was just a trip, right? But it's like, it's Wildin' Out.
Yeah.
So like how, like what does that management look like, especially with your artists who people may just hit him on the side, or like do, like what is,
oh man,
I know. So how do you manage that, and like what, even like speaking to, you know, other artists, of how to best deal with that?
Yeah. So I guess it kind of depends. This is probably one of the only areas where we'll sometimes disagree. And if I feel very strongly about it, I will make a case for why I don't think it's a good brand partnership, feature, appearance, show. And I very rarely do that.
Okay.
So I feel like when I'm like really standing on something, he's like, oh, well, she's for real.
Yeah.
And it's never really that serious. And then on the other side of that, sometimes he just wants to do random shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't knock it at all. Like, okay, especially when it's community oriented, right? Like when we're here, whatever you want to do is fine. As long as it's like, we know what's going on. Maybe we have security. Like, it's cool. My anxieties are, if it's here, it's fine. But it'll randomly be like something that he wants to do, like in New York or LA. And I think that we've gotten to a point where it never feels as detrimental as it used to. But when it's early in your career, right, like you should be very careful about your perception, your brand perception. Mm-hmm. If you don't smoke weed, why are you going to do a cannabis event? If you're not really a drinker, you don't agree with drinking, why are you going to take the big ass alcohol bag? Like,
right.
It creates a shift. It really does. If you are performing at such an incredibly high artistic level that you've put all your resources, money, and power into, like, why would you compromise and do something that you know is at a much lower artistic level?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are the things you should be turning away from. It's very rare that the bag is big enough to be life-changing. So just like, you know, sometimes you just have to hold out a little bit longer. And I do think that it's worth it if it's gonna like protect your artist's integrity and your artistic brand and how people perceive you on a larger scale. So that's kind of how I can't think of. I'm sure there's been a couple that we've taken that we probably shouldn't have, but I can't even think of them off the top of my head. So I think we've done an okay job.
Yeah, you have those checks and balances.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the trust.
Yeah.
As well.
For
Can
sure.
you talk about that a little bit of, like, how have you been able to, like, build trust with all these people to where they're like, yes, I'm going to, if she's standing on something or she says something, I know that it's valuable and I'm not going to, like.
You just got to remain solid.
Okay.
Like, you know, you got to be consistent with it. Like, you can't, I couldn't have had a 2-3 year phase where I was like, yeah, let's go money grab, because that's confusing, you know? Then it's like, oh, now Cristela doesn't want a money grab and now she wants to be of the highest artist integrity. Like, I don't know what to expect from her, but I think that across the board, like, we've remained solid and just true to, like, what we really believe in. And so it makes it easier, and you know what to expect from people, which just makes it easier to trust them. So yeah, I think that's a part of it.
Cristela, where we at? Yeah, where'd that come from?
Squeaky.
Really?
That came from Squeak. Yeah. It's so funny because someone always has something to say about the fact that he said declining offers. It's particularly our booking agents. They're like, why would he say that? We're not declining offers. And I'm like, we're declining some.
Yeah.
We're declining some. So
I feel like it's just become a thing.
It really has.
Yeah.
But it originated in 2017, maybe, on the Bucket List tour, which we had there was like a South by Southwest week in our Bucket List tour. And Squeaky at any given point was just like, where are we at? Like in a really hype, like, we're at South by Southwest or we're on tour. And it was so random, and they would not let it go. They would not let it die. They would not let it die down. It stayed for years. I contemplated changing all of my ats, but it was too long. Like, I couldn't. It wouldn't fit. I contemplated merch. I contemplated all these. I know, right? Cool. It's not too late. But yeah, Squeaky is the originator of Cristela, where we at. And Saba added the declining offers because we've declined a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. We have, and none of them I regret. So, you know, it was probably a little flex on his end for me, which I fuck with.
Yeah, and it's a really cool, like, concept of knowing that, like, I don't have to know, but I know someone that will know. And I think you are that person, right? It's like a
cool
continuum of, like, I don't have to, like, I can let my whatever down because I know Cristela got me.
Yeah.
So it's like I could just, Cristela, where we at? Oh, okay, boom.
Facts.
So yeah,
facts.
it's really cool.
Facts.
It's a testament to just who you are.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah. We talked about your team, your amazing team, your developing team. What would you say is like your expertise, like kind of through this like decade of like working with this artist? What are the things that you feel like you've mastered, and then what are the things that you feel like are okay for you to hand off? That are the things that either you don't want to do, or just you understand that it's not your ministry, that's not your space.
This is a really good question. So I think big picture, right? Like not tiny detail oriented. I think that I have mastered really being like an artist friendly businesswoman. And that word gets thrown around a lot, and I'm not discrediting anybody who is also on the same path, but it's just, it takes a lot of intention to really value your artist's well-being over everything else, because your finances are tied into it. How you're perceived as a businesswoman is tied into it. But to me personally, and you know, maybe it's because of the specific path that I have been on with one artist, but even any other artist that I've had the opportunity to work with, it's always like, are you good? You know, like, do you really want to do this? Like, I feel like just tell me. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Like, I'll get it sorted. I think that's been really important to me, because it keeps me tied to this. Music is the most powerful frequency that I get to experience in life. It's up there with love, you know, and to remain tied to that version of me, like, I need to protect this as much as I can. And we get to experience artists on earth, and that, to me, that's a privilege, you know, because of how much I love it. So before anything, like, they are what matters, their well-being, their physical, their mental, spiritual well-being, and trying to advocate for like fair business as much as I can, which is a completely separate fight. But that, to me, big picture is it. And then smaller picture, this is actually something that I feel like I just kind of challenged myself with over the last year, and something that I've like 75% handed off is just like the creative, which is big. Yeah. But Ro is so much better at it than I am. So why wouldn't I let her take the reins? Why wouldn't I let her, no, he looks better in this. No, he's better under this camera. No, this, like, please, yes. Oh my God, absolutely. I agree with you. Go ahead, do it. Mm-hmm. So that's been really cool. And, you know, the things that I am still handling, and more so not because I'm afraid of the delegation anymore, but more so because it's 10 years of information and I'm the only one with all of it, is just like the business stuff, the contracts, the features, the shows, the, you know, deciding who we're partnering, deciding who our booking agent is, deciding what distribution we're going to be going to, you know, like wearing the manager hat essentially. But that's me with guidance from mentors sometimes, but for the most part, just me.
A lot of times I think as like an independent artist, you can kind of, you know, just take kind of risk and chance because there's not that background. But like as you grow, it's like, you know what works, you know what. So like, what are y'all listening to in terms of numbers and metrics, and what is driving decisions at this point, if at all?
Yeah. It's so tricky.
This got this many likes,
man.
You know, like
none of this shit is real.
I know, and that's, you know, as a
it's a mind
artist
fuck.
That is the like you're looking at those things and they matter in pitching and the brands and all of that, but
it's everything is in such a weird place right now. Okay. You know, playlisting is out. Of course, it's there, but it's not doing anything for you anymore. TikTok's on its way out. Let's be real.
Yeah. Had a good run.
I love TikTok. Don't get me wrong. I'm on there laughing. I'm on there crying. I'm on there sending shit to my friends. But it's just it's out. It'll be here for a little bit. We're not fully there. But yeah, it's interesting because we're in a really weird place, and I've heard that this happens every 10 years roughly. You know, you think about it at the beginning of streaming, when we were leaving Napster, when we were leaving iTunes, when we were leaving LimeWire and all this shit.
Right.
Like, we were really stepping into streaming. Nobody really knew what we were going to do, but then we came up with this playlist curators concept that lived and was sustainable for a while, and our biggest priority for a very long time, but it's not anymore. Sab's not about to be on TikTok doing TikTok dances, so obviously that's not our priority, in a way, and I'll get to it. It's like we're leaning into Instagram a lot with this current rollout because of visual vertical content. So right now it's like Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and TikTok, I guess. You know, these tiny little less than a minute snippets, that seems to be what sticks. So we're leaning into it a little bit. We're watching how it's received. But it's in a really weird place because I don't think a lot of people know what's going to be next. Yeah. What's going to be the next TikTok, what's going to be the next playlist. But I like to believe in my delusional, hopeful brain. We're going back to physicals. We're going back to like the OG, straight to consumers kind of route. A lot of shit is going to have to change before we get there, but I am pretty hopeful. And the metrics we like to pay attention to, I guess, something that I try to still just tune into is like our Spotify for artists, our Apple Music for artists, just to see if
who's listening,
you know, what's happening, where the cities are, if anything is randomly jumping, if anything went down. And the greatest metric of all is when you are announced or on tour. And we're not there yet for this album campaign, but I do really look forward to that because that to me is always the most reassuring one. Like, oh wow, we're really doing this. Okay, cool. Like, we weren't tripping. We did it. We're, you know, it's a sold out venue and we did what we needed to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you interested in growing your artist roster at any point?
I go so back and forth on this all the time. So back and forth.
Because, I mean, you've helped out with the few like, artists like here and there. And,
it depends on the day.
Okay.
And the only battle there is really that, yes, I would love to. And I would also just love to not work as hard in my 30s as I did in my 20s. Yeah. So being realistic about that, because the last thing I want to do is sell a dream that I can't deliver on. So it's something that I have done, but I'm very intentional about if I do decide to. Okay. So stay tuned for
what Cristela got in her bag. Yeah. Last question. This is a selfish question, but what's your favorite Saba song? And it could be off what's coming, you know, like Comfort Zone, or just, I think you were sharing maybe last year it was something that wasn't released yet.
Damn, I wonder what I was talking about.
But maybe that's still your favorite, but yeah.
I would love to know what the fuck I was talking about last year when I said that, because it could have been anything. Let's do like a top 3.
Yeah, come on.
One that like is so consistent and somewhat random because it was a Lucy, but stay right here.
Oh yeah,
I love that song
Omar?
With Xavier, Omar, and Mick. Yeah, I love that song so much.
Those whole little Lucy's were
yeah, good. There's another one on Papaya. It's one of my best friend's favorites. It's yours? Really?
It's in rotation once a week.
I love that. Yes. My best friend Christina, that is like her favorite Saba song, and she never lets me forget it.
I wanted you. Yeah, yes.
I'm gonna tie Scum and For Y'all. And then I'm gonna go 2 more.
Come on.
Calligraphy, and right now it's Make Believe.
Okay.
But I can't listen to it. I have like, it's just like so emotional. I have like it'll like differ, like whatever the emotional tie. Sometimes it's 2012, sometimes it's For Y'all. Like, it's just the randoms, depending on what I'm going through in life. Yes. There's a different song that's going to make me emotional on the way home. And right now it's Make Believe, but I love it so much. Yeah. Yeah. We'll do those.
Last question. What's next? For you, for the artists?
Let's see. We're going to get this album out with no ID.
Come on.
It's going to be incredible. We're going to tour it.
Let's go.
And then,
oh my God, there's going overseas
yes, there's so many just projects that we're working on that are so early that I'm so excited about. There's a lot coming. And for Cristela, more joy, more inspiration, more time with my niece, and change, but like exciting change.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in. You can follow us at Positioning Your Passion. You can follow me at Create, and you can follow the gang at Pivot Gang, as well as at Saba Pivot.
Perfect.
I'm about to say, we don't need people all up in your
I was going to say, don't follow me.
Yeah, I was about to say, I already know. Yeah.